Hey, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning, John.
Hey,
Good
Ted.
to see you. Sorry,
Good
I
to
had
see you,
my
buddy.
camera off there. Welcome to DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. It is Monday, November 3rd, 2025. We appreciate you joining us. Please, some housekeeping, more than usual. Please like, follow, and share the show. We are here Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. That's the new and permanent time for the foreseeable future. Those of you who are regular listeners know that we've had some problems with production because our producer, Robbie West, got doxxed by some asshole who didn't like his political opinions. Robbie decided to both take a stand for his personal integrity and also to show that, to really reflecting his belief in this show, he's just sent in his resignation letter to his day job. So you can't dox him. He'll dox himself. He's out. So Robbie is going to be here with us full time starting 2 weeks from now, because he had to give 2 weeks notice, of course. That said, we are going to make this work. And the only way it can work financially for Robbie is if we get some money into his pocket as much as possible. So, of course, obviously, we appreciate your donations here. We are fully monetized back on YouTube again, and you're always welcome to do that. And obviously, John and I can always need the support as well. But for this express purpose, we're sort of going to do a Robbie aid thing, like sort of until we get to our magic number of $1,000 a month for Robbie. So and then we'll stop as soon as we do that. So if people step up, the show will be able to keep going, and it'll have proper production values. And I'll be able to, for example, not run the board and pay attention to the scroll and feed your questions out more efficiently and just be generally more responsive. And so if you're interested in participating in helping Robbie and therefore helping us, here is what we're going to ask you to do. Please donate to Robbie's Patreon. His Patreon is westglaciergaming@gmail.com. The money goes directly to Robbie. That way there's no sort of futzy, annoying stuff. It's like Ted gets the money and then Donald Trump's a little bit of off to the side. Like, no, it goes straight to Robbie. So again, it's westglaciergaming@gmail.com. We're trying to just get up to $1,000 a month. I promise I'm not going to keep talking about this throughout the entire show like it's NPR Pledge Week. And we're not promising you any fucking tote bags because we have no tote bags to give. And if we were going to make swag, it wouldn't be a tote bag. So, although I like the idea of doing swag, we have a good logo. And
I the only reason I put this red sweater on is because I'm so cold in my house. But I've got I can't even pull it out. It's my Ivy Cyber swag because I'm going to teach a surveillance course at 10 o'clock for Ivy Cyber. But yeah, we should come up with some swag, right?
Yeah, people should chime in about what kind of swag they would want. I mean, I'm always a fan of mugs.
Mugs are good.
Mugs are good. T-shirt. I feel like people don't really wear T-shirts. T-shirts just gather dust in your drawer.
Yeah. And the hats, I've never been much of a hat wearer.
I think if I were bald, I would be a hat wearer just to protect my dome from like skin cancer.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And buttons, I collect them, but nobody wears them.
No, nobody wears them.
So
no, it's true. Nobody wears them.
All right, so that's the housekeeping. I'm going to leave that West Glacier Gaming Gmail for Patreon up for a little while we talk about what we're going to talk about today. So, among other things, and please do put in your questions, comments, etc. into the live feed if you're watching live on Rumble or on YouTube. We appreciate you, no matter where you are. And if you're not watching live, thank you for watching anyway. Most viewers here are not live. So I want to acknowledge you guys.
That's true.
And, thank you for streaming us all day long. All right. So, John, obviously, big case before the U.S. Supreme Court coming up on Wednesday.
Ted, how did it take this long?
It's a good question.
The Constitution is very clear that tariffs can only be implemented by Congress. No president can just say, I'm putting tariff on this country and I'm putting tariffs on that country. It doesn't work that way. It's never worked that way for 250 years. So now finally the Supreme Court is going to address this issue of whether Donald Trump can institute tariffs on foreign countries. Newsflash, the answer is no. He can't do it. Watch and see. Unless the Supreme Court has been so taken over by MAGA that, we're in the twilight zone. I don't know. There's always that possibility, but the answer is no. The Constitution specifically says that it's up to Congress to impose tariffs. Hey, I wanted to say something else, Ted, before we get too far into the show. Frasmataz said 20 minutes before we started in the chat that we should talk a little bit about Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio, Kristi Noem, and Pete Hegseth all moving out of their homes in Arlington, Virginia, where I live, and moving into generals' houses. This is general officers' quarters at Fort Myer.
Maybe they're scared of you, John. They're trying to get away.
What they're scared of is people have found their addresses, which are publicly available with 5 minutes of Googling, and they have been writing slogans of one kind or another on the sidewalk in front of the houses. And so they've all sold their homes and they've bumped generals out of their houses on Fort Myer, which is now called Joint Base Myer Henderson Hall. Nobody says that. They just say Fort Myer. What do you make of this? First of all, is this legal? I don't know. I'm not an attorney, but it just seems that if you're not in the military, you don't have the right to live in general officers' quarters on a military base.
Yeah, well, I'm not ex-military, but I know lots of people who are, and my understanding is that this is legal, and it's not unprecedented. Political figures have lived on base before, but what's notable is that it's such a high number of people, all at the same base.
Oh yeah,
and what's pissing off the military is, like, let's face it, a military job is like an academic job. It doesn't really pay very well, but you get some cool benefits sometimes, and so shopping at the PX or whatever. And so this is a cool benefit for officers, is that they get to live in some really cool historic houses.
Yeah, they do.
And so this takes these houses out of the rotation that could go to proper military officers, and it's bumping them out. It's bumping some down. And then the lower officers who are like, oh, I'm finally going to get one of these houses, is kicked out. So that's the problem. It's a bad form. For me, John, what strikes me is just how, like, these guys play big, swaggering, swinging dicks on TV, right?
Yeah, they do.
Like, look at Kristi Noem, like, we're going to find you.
She's got a gun. Yeah.
We're going to deport you.
Yeah.
We're going to fuck you up. Stephen Miller with his, like, sort of Nazi, Goebbels swagger. Same thing, right? They're so ballsy on TV.
Yeah.
But in their real life, they're little pussies.
Yeah, it's really a shock. One time I had to brief Colin Powell when he was, I think he was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs at the time under George H.W. Bush. So he was 4 stars, and I had to brief him at his house over at Fort Myer. So you pull in, and back then it was pre 9/11, so you just show government ID, they wave you right through. Not anymore, but that's how it was then. And we drove like past all the barracks and the training buildings and the horse stalls for the honor guard and the place where the guys that guard the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier live. And you come to this street, and it's a street of increasingly beautiful yellow brick buildings. So there's like a nice yellow brick house, like kind of like the one I grew up in. It was red brick, but it was the same design, sort of a turn of the 20th century arts and crafts Foursquare. And And then the next one is a little bit nicer, and the next one's a little bit nicer. And they have little signs in front: Brigadier General so-and-so, Major General so-and-so, Lieutenant General so-and-so. And as you add a star to each of these guys' shoulders, the houses get bigger and more magnificent. And then you came to Colin Powell's house. He was 4 stars at the time. And it is a bona fide mansion, and It's on a hill. So it overlooks literally everything you would want it to overlook: the Iwo Jima Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, the Capitol Building. You turn your head just a little bit this way, and it's the Pentagon and the Air Force Memorial. You turn your head this way, and it's the Kennedy Center and Georgetown University. No better view exists anywhere in the Washington, D.C. area. Well, it's those houses that these cabinet members and sub-cabinet members are now moving into, apparently because they're afraid of people writing anti-Trump graffiti in chalk on the sidewalks.
I mean, look, I think that, just in fairness to these little pussies, it is kind of like disconcerting if someone writes, anything on the sidewalk that points out that you live there and you're someone who's politically controversial or notable, right? I mean, I would find it disconcerting, but that comes with the territory when you're in official Washington. Everyone knows where everyone lives. They would know where each Supreme Court justice lives. They know all that stuff. Yeah. And so, it's kind of like grow a pair, for God's sake. But it is in the name of security, to answer one of the questioners on the Rumble feed. John, question for you from Triple JXYZ. Okay. Have you given up on getting a pardon? No, I have great trouble keeping my big mouth shut, but I have not given up on trying to get a pardon. Listen, I'm trying to be as open-minded on all issues as I possibly can, but I have core beliefs, and I just can't manage to squelch those core beliefs. And so I'm still trying to get a pardon. I've got some powerful, important people in my corner. Apparently, I'm not as well liked as George Santos because of all that George Santos brings to the table, of course. But I'm still trying. And, there's another question. It's not just today from Rebellious Rainbow Unicorn, but Rebellious Rainbow Unicorn also asked it last week, and we didn't answer it. John, how many times have you had sex on a CIA conference room table? Okay, truth? Once. But I married her. Oh, okay. Yeah, I married her. Before or after? I married her after. But yeah. I'm not saying any more about that. Angela Falalala says she can't find Putinbot on Patreon. It's Putinbot Gaming. Okay. Yeah. And anyways, just look for the westglaciergaming@gmail.com. Adam Blader is asking, have we seen the news about the conflict in the Sahara Desert between Algeria and Morocco? Big news from the weekend. Did you happen to follow this, Ted? No, this one I missed. I was following other. Africa's blowing up, though. Africa's blowing up. Plus, Trump said on Friday that he's thinking of invading Nigeria, which is a whole other conversation we're gonna have today. Yep. But since approximately 1960, Morocco and Algeria have been at odds over the Western Sahara. Western Sahara was kind of, sort of, a little bit of an independent country, and it wasn't an independent country. It was a Spanish colony. Morocco invaded it when the Spanish pulled out, and they took it, and they've had it ever since. And the Spanish Saharans, I actually met the Spanish Sahara ambassador to Cuba when I was there last year I didn't know it was a country that was recognized by anybody. And it turns out, I didn't either. Yeah, it's only recognized by Cuba and Algeria. Okay. At least a year ago, that was the case. So anyway, all these people want, these Tuaregs, all they want is freedom. They don't want to be Moroccan. Mm-hmm. And the Algerians, because the Algerians have this revolutionary spirit and revolutionary history, the Algerians have supported the Western Saharans. And so the Moroccans pulled a fast one
4 years ago when the Trump administration approached Morocco and asked them to recognize Israel and to open an embassy in Israel. And the Moroccans said, this is King Mohammed VI, I think he is. He said, sure, we'll recognize Israel and we'll open an embassy there if you recognize that Western Sahara exists only as a part of Morocco. And Trump said yes. That was a change in American policy that had been set in concrete since 1960. So now the Algerians and the Moroccans are talking for the very first time about at least autonomy for the Western Saharans. Now, the truth is, there's nothing in the Western Sahara except sand and nomads and a couple of camels. That's it. But by God, these people want to be independent. And if they want to be independent, they should have the right of self-determination. And so now those conversations are going to take place for the very first time. It's a big deal. And one of the side effects will be an improvement of historically and traditionally bad relations between Algeria and Morocco. I'm kind of excited about it, being, a Middle East guy. I'm excited about it. If that sounds boring, I apologize.
not to me. I geek out over, I love disputed. I'm kind of obsessed with disputed, with land disputes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm interested in Kurdistan, Nagorno-Karabakh, all that kind of stuff. It's always the Transnistria.
Yes.
All that stuff is interesting as shit because it's about like no man's land, right? It's sort of like there's still parts of the world where not everyone agrees Ohio is in the United States,
right?
But like there's still places that are fought over. It feels a little.
Well, we have territorial disputes with Haiti, with the Dominican Republic. These little uninhabited islands down there, we claim them, and other countries claim them, but they're not important enough to fight over. And we would crush anybody who wanted to fight over it anyway. So we just pretend that the dispute doesn't exist.
John, we have a question that probably could, use up an entire month of this show, so let's try not to do that. But from Jones Jameson's asking, and also thank you for the $5. When was the last time the U.S. fought a justifiable war? It seems that every war has been a joke and a tragedy. When was the last war that made even a shred of sense? It's a big question.
I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I'm gonna couch this response a little bit. Mm-hmm. The first 3 months of the Afghanistan war were justifiable because in the first 3 months we focused solely on Al Qaeda. We had been attacked. 3,000 Americans had been murdered. Our job was to destroy Al Qaeda, and for 3 months until December of 2001, we actually tried to do that. And then we went nuts and started killing everybody, and it just went to shit. And I will also say,
and we imposed a puppet regime.
We imposed that. That's right. We imposed a puppet regime. I would also say, and I'm biased, and I admit that I'm biased, but I would say that the 1990-91 Gulf War was justified because. Same thing. The Kuwaitis were being raped, pillaged, murdered. You can't believe the atrocities that took place. There was a torture chamber. I went in with the Marines into Kuwait City on Liberation Day. And one of the things we found, there were 6 of them, but we found one of the Iraqi army's torture chambers. And they had just taken chairs and the guts of toasters. They took the seat off the chair, put the coils, the heating coils of the toaster across, and would tie people to the chair and then just burn them, tying them to the chair and having the coils heat up and just cook right through their skin. The number of women that were raped, some of them raped so severely that they died during the attack. It was unfathomable. So I really believed that was a justified and justifiable war. But then before that, I mean, I don't know, Korea, World War II. I think World War II,
the outcome was obviously beneficial to the world.
Yeah.
I don't think we fought it because we were trying to save Jews or defeat fascism. I think we were trying to open up European markets for American exports, and letting Hitler lock it all up for himself was just not good, something that the West was going to allow. Yeah, I mean, I guess from a northern point of view, you could say the Civil War, because you're trying to keep the country together. But legally, the Confederacy had every right to go legally.
I would agree.
I think
wait. Maybe I misunderstood.
You have to go to the War of 1812 for me.
Did I misunderstand? Are you saying that the Confederacy had the right to withdraw from the Union?
Yeah.
Ooh, I disagree strongly.
You don't think?
Oh, no.
Was it a one-way ticket? Like once you join, it's like the Hotel California.
It's like NATO. It's like NATO. There are all kinds of rules about how to join, but there are no rules about throwing a country out of NATO. It's never been done, and nobody foresaw that it would ever have to be done. So there's just nothing that's written.
Well, but Texas had the right to leave for sure.
Yeah, well, Texas was different though. It had been an independent republic. But I don't know. To me, Robbie and I duked this out one time. Secession was about slavery. Period. The word slavery is mentioned 88 times in the South Carolina Articles of Secession, and then taking up arms against the federal government is literally the constitutional definition of treason. I feel pretty strongly about it.
I mean, I kind of feel like, though, you shouldn't be able to, join a nation. You shouldn't be able to join something that you can't quit. It doesn't stand to reason.
Yeah.
It's sort of like what is it? Like, Muslim marriage, where it's like the woman can't get divorced. I mean, they can.
Yeah, but that would be like Utah saying, you know what? We made a mistake when we outlawed polygamy. We only outlawed polygamy so that Washington would let us in the Union. We've changed our mind, so we're going to either bring back polygamy or we're going to withdraw.
I think they have every right to do that.
You can't do that. No, I disagree.
Fuso, thanks for the buck. Did you see Finkelstein on Candace?
I did see Finkelstein on Candace. And how about the story he told about your friend and mine, Alan Dershowitz? Man, Alan Dershowitz is a dark figure in contemporary America. Dershowitz recommended Finkelstein for a professorship. And as soon as Finkelstein became anti-Zionist, Dershowitz literally ruined him, ruined his career, ruined his life, to the point, Ted, where he couldn't get a job as a substitute teacher in the local school district.
Horrible.
Terrible. Absolutely awful.
And I've talked to him a bunch of times for this, that, and the other interview. He's accessible. He's always good for a quote. That's
he's always good for a quote. Although I told you what happened, I'm gonna speak a little bit out of school here. It was Alan Dershowitz that wrote the letter to the president asking him to pardon me. So what he did was he wrote this letter. He called me and said, "Are you going to apply for pardon?" I said, "Yes." And he said, well, I'd like to be involved. Those were his words. I'd like to be involved. I said, I appreciate it. We were thinking of writing a letter and circulating it. He said, I'll write the letter. I said, great. So he writes the letter. It's absolutely beautiful. It's very to the point, 3 bullet points. That's it. Not even a full page. So I send it to Tucker Carlson. He signs it. I send it to Judge Napolitano. He signs it. Bruce Fine signs it. Brett Holman, the former Trump U.S. attorney for Utah, signs it. Dr. Phil signs it, and Sid Miller, the agriculture commissioner of Texas, who's close to Trump, he signs it. So I sent it back to Dershowitz, and I said, Professor, everybody else has signed it. We're just awaiting your signature, and we're going to send it to the president. And then he calls me and he says, I can't sign this. What? And I said, you wrote it,
right?
And he says, but I don't really know you very well. I said, Professor, you called me.
Right.
You offered to write this letter for me. I didn't ask you to write it. And he said, well, I can't be associated with this letter. And I said, fine. So we sent it to Trump without his signature on it.
That's truly bizarre.
Yeah, he's 87 years old, 86 years old. So I don't know. And then
what's he afraid of? At
I don't know.
87 years old, I hope to never be afraid of anything.
I think it's because I've come out so strongly in support of Palestinian human rights, because we went on Piers Morgan and he was at my throat for 30 minutes and I gave it back to him just as hard as he gave it to me. So I guess I'm assuming now we're not friends. I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe it's something personal. John, question from Hamza Silla, 8973. What's your prediction for North Africa right now, particularly Libya?
There's no reason to be optimistic about Libya.
No,
which is awful because it's all our fault. United States and NATO. I'll tell you, immediately upon the fall of Gaddafi, I went to New York. I got hired by a mutual fund company called Neuberger and Berman, and they wanted an hour briefing on North Africa and an hour Q&A. So I went and I talked about Libya. And I said at the time that I was optimistic about Libya. This is in 2011. I was optimistic about Libya because I had gone to see some friends of mine at Booz Allen Hamilton, the big lobbying law firm. They had been hired by the interim Libyan government to write a constitution. And they gave me a copy of this proposed Libyan constitution. And I briefed these guys and I said, this constitution is better than ours. It promises equal rights for women, minorities, religious minorities, LGBTQ. I mean, everything you could think of, they threw into this constitution, except there was no equivalent to the U.S. Second Amendment. I was like, this is incredible. It's amazing.
Yeah, we don't need that.
No. And the Libyans, I guess, didn't need it. And then the two sides were like, screw your constitution. And they've been fighting ever since. So I'm not optimistic. And I don't think there's any reason to feel hopeful.
No, I would agree with that. No, it's totally. Well, what should we talk about here? Should we get into the Supreme Court on tariffs?
Sure.
This really interesting story of whether an AI bubble is about to happen. Tomorrow's New York mayoral election and New Jersey governor's election, or Trump threatening to invade Nigeria.
Well, the tariff thing we can dispense with in a minute.
Okay.
Trump does not have the constitutional authority to levy tariffs, period. That is solely the responsibility of Congress. Now, you have Congress that is led by pussies on both sides and in both chambers who are perfectly happy to just walk away from their constitutionally mandated authorities. But it's up to the Supreme Court to say, no, you guys are all wrong, literally all of you. And so Congress is going to have to impose tariffs because the president can't do it. That's what I believe.
Scott Bessent, who's the Secretary of the Treasury,
yes,
his argument is that this is like all Trump arguments lately, are that he's responding to a national emergency, basically in the same way that if it would be important to cut corners if it was 2006 or 2007, and you're saying, hey, all those too big to fail banks are about to fail. We need to do some stuff that's unorthodox. Similarly, we are in some kind of trade crisis that is undefinable. I don't even understand, John, the concept of a trade deficit. When I first learned about it, like we all did, I don't know, I was 12 or something.
Right.
But
right.
Okay, I know what it is. I just don't know why it matters. Why does it matter if one country sells more than it buys more than it sells from another country? How is that how does that harm them?
Yeah, how's that a bad thing?
I don't understand how that makes a difference.
I don't either. To tell you the truth, I think that much of our trade deficit with the Chinese could be dispensed with. Like, for example, all this cheap shit that you can buy at the dollar store, it's all made in China.
Sure.
So just don't buy it.
Well,
that's all.
asking Americans not to indulge their consumerism is not an easy ask.
I know. Well, I'll give you a reason that I say that too. I had a shed in my backyard, and my lawnmower was in it, and I had a lock on the shed with a you needed the numbers, the combination, right? Sure. It wasn't a key lock. I forgot over the course of the winter. I forgot the combination. I just forgot it. So
happened to me more times than I can count.
What can you do? So I went to Home Depot and I bought a bolt cutter, right? So I can come and just pop it.
I've always wanted to own a bolt cutter. You know, it's a good thing to have. It's like there's certain tools where you wait a long time, like rubber mallet. Everyone should have a rubber mallet.
I bought one the other day. I bought one 2 weeks ago. I have no use for it at all, but everybody should have a rubber mallet just in case. So I bought one, $10. So anyway, I go to Home Depot and I buy this bolt cutter. So I go back home and I go like, with a bolt cutter, and the bolt cutter, the head just sort of explodes.
Oh shit.
In pieces. So I pick up the pieces.
Like, dude, you're the cutter.
I know, right?
Defeated.
So I take my receipt, I go back to Home Depot, and the guy's like, "Oh, you must have gotten a bad one. It had to be defective. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and get another one." So I get another one. I go back home, I do this, boom, it explodes again. I was like, "You have got to be kidding me." So I went back and I go, "I don't want this cheap Chinese junk. It's weak, it's poorly made. Just give me my money back." So he gives me my, whatever it was, $25 back. I go to this little mom and pop hardware store just up the road from me, Cherrydale Hardware. And I said, "I need a bolt cutter and I want something made in the US of A. I don't want this cheap Chinese shit that they sold me twice now at the Home Depot." He says, "No problem." He gives me an American one. I come home, thing pops right off. I get my lawnmower, I do the lawn, and then I went and bought a new lock that uses a key instead of a combination.
Good for you.
So those Chinese can keep their crap that they make and they send here, because I don't want it. And I'm proud to say this, I mean this quite literally. I have never been inside a dollar store. Never. Oh, not a single time.
I can't say that, but I can't say that I've bought much.
Well, I've read stories about, people buy toothpaste there. It's some off-brand toothpaste. It's got, poison in it, or they buy their dog food and then the dog dies. And like, why are we doing this to ourselves? Why?
Well, this is like, it reminds me, I don't know if it's true or not, but the story was that when the television was being developed in the Soviet version of it, that Stalin personally tested each prototype out, and he would say,
"Really?"
No, and he'd say, "This one is not worthy of the workers of the Soviet Union. Get it the fuck out of here. Go back and do better."
See,
because the object wasn't to sell TVs. The object was to put a TV in every Soviet home, right? And I kind of wish we had that kind of, like United, what is it? United Laboratories, right? Like those people, but there should be some kind of body. It could be Consumer Reports or something where they
underwriters laboratories.
Yeah, and if it's a piece of shit, it should be like, this is not worthy of the workers of the United States.
That's right.
That bolt cutter is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It should be banned.
It doesn't cut any bolts.
Right.
Exactly.
The lock cuts the bolt. This is not how that's supposed to work. The bolt cutter. Yeah, it's so dumb. Unbelievable.
We have a question.
Go ahead.
We have a question too, Ted, about why do we think that China has such a passive foreign policy? I think that's an easy one. I think they're just waiting patiently while we destroy ourselves.
Yeah. Well, they play the long game.
Yeah, they're playing the long game. Exactly right. They get far more out of investing in other countries than they do invading them. So they let us do that, and we destroy ourselves.
I mean, yeah, I think it's also their historical knowledge. I mean, the thing about it's impossible to overstate the importance of history in Chinese culture, right?
Yep.
They know everything.
I agree.
And I think it's like, they basically stopped being expansionist in any serious way, like after the Warring States period.
Yes.
And it was so brutal and so bloody that it was kind of like, okay, well, we did this now. China's a unified empire. And that's it. We don't do that anymore. It's kind of like we did everything we wanted to do. We got the team together.
Yep.
And now that's it. I mean, why would you need? You're China. You're the size of the United States if Alaska was attached to the lower 48, the same size. Why the fuck do you need more? It's like Russia. Oh, Putin wants land. Putin, all the things Putin wants, land is not one of them.
That's the last thing.
He doesn't need land.
Plenty of land.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to ask you too. Trump was on 60 Minutes last night, and he was saying, well, he said, most importantly, I will not be extorted by the Democrats. That means that in about 38 and a half hours, this will be the longest shutdown in American history. Okay? With no end in sight. There aren't even any talks scheduled by the two sides. It's been a little bumpy the last month. It's going to get grisly as people legitimately go hungry, right? True. So at the same time, more and more states, this weekend, Ohio became one of them, are redistricting to make it easier, in their view, for Republicans to win additional seats. But I say not so fast. What they're doing is they're drawing districts the way they were drawn in the 80s, where instead of being very safe for Republicans and very safe for Democrats, they're diluted. So in a wave election year, the Republicans are going to win a shitload of seats, or conversely, the Democrats are going to win a shitload of seats.
So it becomes more of a winner-take-all.
It becomes situation. More of a winner-take-all. That's exactly the way to say it. I wish I had thought to say it. But yeah, that's the way it was in the 70s and the 80s. So like, for example, in 1974, the Democrats won like 62 House seats. In 1994, the Republicans won 60 House seats or whatever it was. So when we have these wave elections, there are huge political movements in the House of Representatives. Well, if this lockdown or shutdown rather goes as long as people are thinking it's going to go, we might be in for a wave election in 2026 where Republicans are going to be punished. If you look at all the latest polls, we talked about this on Friday. There was another poll that came out over the weekend. Most Americans blame the Republicans for the shutdown. Speaker Mike Johnson, won't even bring the House of Representatives back into session. They've been out of session for a month. They're not even in Washington. So, yeah. I mean, can you see this backfiring? Not to say, and this is not to say the Democrats are any better. They're not. But I consider myself to be kind of a typical American, and my health insurance, which I get through the marketplace, it's Obamacare. I pay $932 a month. Next month it goes to $1,900.
Oof!
Thanks to Donald Trump.
Will you pay it?
I can't. So, like I was bragging about earlier, I got SAG membership. So I'm going to get the Screen Actors Guild insurance.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, and congratulations on that, John. I mean,
Thank you.
I think
come at a better time.
Just a reminder before we answer this question, if you're just joining us, please consider donating to Robbie Aid, as we're calling it. We're trying to bring back our producer, Robbie West, who was sanctioned at work and has been moved to resign due to being doxxed, unfortunately, by some apparently liberal listener who shames me to say this.
Yeah, I'm infuriated about it.
But anyway, they saw him on the show and found out where he worked and ratted him out to his boss. So he just submitted his resignation today. So we're trying to make it so that he can work for us. So if we can get $1,000 a month and cobble that together with some other sources, but if you all can raise $1,000 through him directly through his Patreon, we'll be able to pull this off. We're going to do this every month. And I promise when we get up to the magic number, we will stop asking for that month. Then we'll be back. It's the beginning of the month. westglaciergaming@gmail.com, or you can go to Patreon and look for Putinbot Gaming. Putin as in, yes, the president of Russia. It's a joke, I promise. He's not really a Putin bot. Okay, so let me read an ad, and
very good.
We do have some, and here we go. Sorry, again, this is the kind of thing that's more seamless when you have a producer. The battle for truth has never been more intense. The world's elites are tightening their grip on what you can say, think, and believe. But that's exactly why the GK Publishing exists. They're giving a voice to bold truth tellers who refuse to bow to the system. They've published powerful books like Church and State with Pastor Greg Locke and Denise McAllister, Social Injustice with Brandon Howes and Dr. Andy Woods, and 5 Steps to Kill a Nation by Pastor Sam Jones. And now you can pre-order Jeff Dornick's upcoming book, Following the Leader, exposing how global elites are conditioning humanity to obey and how you can resist the coming deception. Go to gatekeepersonline.com right now and use promo code RUMBLE for buy one, get one free on any of their books. That's gatekeepersonline.com, code RUMBLE. Truth is under fire, so stand with those who still dare to speak it. Okay, so what were we just talking about? Oh yeah, the Republican election next year. So in the mid, I think if I'm the Republicans, I'm scared. I mean,
I would be.
First of all, you've got this. The economy is way overdue for a recession.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about this possible, probable AI bubble that
and
blow up between now and then.
NVIDIA announced on Thursday that it is the world's first $5 trillion company.
Ridiculous. By the way,
can't even
John,
fathom
here's a number that should make anyone shudder. 3/4 of all stock gains in the last year in the U.S. are due to AI.
Oh my God! I didn't know that.
That is not good.
That's shocking. That is not good.
It's like being a one industry town. It's sort of like, Can you imagine how the San Francisco Bay Area will go down?
Oh my God! When there's a recession,
go down.
Are you kidding?
One industry town. It's all they've got.
There was a piece in the Journal today saying that Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is he's very conservative in his investments, which is why he's one of the richest men in the world. His philosophy has been buy and hold forever. But he distrusts AI. He thinks that it's in a bubble, which it likely is, because no company should be worth $5 trillion, especially a company that nobody ever heard of 10 years ago. But he's sitting on $316 billion in cash, which is the most ever.
Wow.
Because he simply cannot find any companies that he thinks are worth buying.
Well, that's the smart move. Sit tight.
And it should be a warning for all of us.
Doing nothing is always an option. Americans forget that, I think.
That's right.
Temperamentally. And just to finish up, I mean, I do think, look, the Republicans have a perfect storm. They're going to have people like you who are going to resent them for the healthcare subsidies going away, and people like me who also rely on those subsidies. They're also going to have the after effect of the 1/8 of people who are currently staring down the barrel of no food stamps this month, the SNAP benefits expiring, and just the fecklessness. It's less the fact that they fucked up this way than the fact that they did it on purpose and they don't give a rat's ass. And they're letting everyone know it. It's kind of like, if you're poor, there's no escaping the message that Democrats barely care. The Republicans really don't care if you die.
Yes.
And that's that. And the thing is, it's not just those people who are voting. It's the people who care about those people and the people who know those people.
That's right.
So it's not 1 out of 8. I mean, it's like, it's a lot of people. So I think Republicans could get beaten up if Democrats can figure out a way to nationalize the midterms, which they never have.
But this is the problem for the Democrats, is they have their heads up their asses.
Always.
And the Republicans, I'm watching this Virginia gubernatorial race closely. Abby Spanberger is running against Searle, whatever the hell her name is, the woman with the M4 in her campaign ads. She's holding an M4 like this. Abby's gonna win big. That's not necessarily a great thing. I knew Abby. We worked in the CIA's counterterrorism center together. She's perfectly smart, but Governor of Virginia? Anyway, she's the Democratic nominee. She's what the Democrats like to call a moderate, which means she's a conservative Democrat.
Exactly.
And she's going to win tomorrow. That's supposed to be a bellwether. It's really not a bellwether. I mean, it can be some years. But I think the bigger bellwether is in New Jersey. New Jersey has a Democratic congresswoman as the Democratic nominee for governor, and the Republican who was the Republican nominee for governor 4 years ago. It is neck and neck. And if we want to really see an indication of whether or not people respect the Democratic Party as a national party, it's going to be in that New Jersey gubernatorial race. But let me ask you, Ted, what about Zoran Mamdani tomorrow? How big is this win going to be?
My sources inside the campaign tell me they're expecting 52% of the vote tomorrow.
Are you kidding me?
And so that seems to be a general upward trajectory. Basically, the surprise here will be a surge by Curtis Sliwa. So I think you're going to look at they're expecting something that looks basically like a tie for second between Sliwa and Cuomo. Around 22 to 24% for each of them, and 52% for the
52% in a three-way race, in a four-way race, because Adams' name is still on the ballot. He withdrew too late for the name to be taken off the ballot.
And there are shut-ins who may not know that he's no longer on
or cast a protest vote. Yeah. So figure he's going to get 1 or 2% that otherwise, would have gone to either Sliwa or to Cuomo.
Yeah, that's right. So it's going to be a landslide victory, which then, look, what that does is it sets the stage for, what happens next in the Democratic Party. I mean, the Democratic Party is going to have one of their old-fashioned Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton, kind of like, what's the direction of the party? Are we a progressive party or are we a corporatist party?
Yeah.
That's the direction they're going to go. And I got to say, in a way, it's a dumb debate, right? Because the truth is, the Democratic Party should understand that certainly liberal areas, liberal states, New York City, of course, obviously they're left-wing progressive, right? But yeah, I also am a big boy and understand that you're not going to, elect a Democratic socialist to be mayor of Oklahoma City, no matter how great he or she is. So, but they're going to have this big, can we nationalize this? They're also going to be looking at the New Jersey results, right? Now, I think the press is trying to make this into a bigger race than it is. The Democratic sitting governor, who's kind of sucks, has underperformed, and this right-wing businessman who's on the Republican, who's catching up, is closer than he ought to be. But look, I could be burned by this prediction, but I think she's going to win, and I think
she's going to win too.
And it's not going to be by 1 point either.
No. In Virginia, watch for Abby Spanberger. In Virginia, our governors are only allowed to serve one term. 1 4-year term, you're gone.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, it's good. Watch for Abby Spanberger to either run for president or to promote herself as a vice presidential nominee.
That number 2 one, I totally agree with that.
A conservative Democratic woman from the South. Yeah, sure.
So, so with Zoran, he's going to obviously issue a unifying victory message, but he's going to mean it. And, I think there's no reason for anyone to be nervous. Radical change is sadly not afoot. And, but yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, this is going to be, let's put this into perspective. This will be the biggest, highest profile Democratic Socialist win by an American political candidate since, since 100 years ago, since Robert La Follette.
Robert La Follette. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, people will say, what about AOC? Sorry, this is the mayor of the city of New York.
AOC, way more important than AOC.
Represents a weird gerrymandered district, that's partly in the Bronx, partly in Queens. What the hell? So we'll see what happens there.
Yep.
We should talk about the AI bubble.
Yeah.
So there's some important news coverage about this, where basically they sort of break down why it's clear that it's likely that we're in a bubble situation, though. But current AI capital expenditures in this country are supposed to go over $500 billion next year and the following year. That's like that is literally more money than like we spent in inflation adjusted dollars for to plan the Apollo space missions. It's higher. It's basically the average GDP of Singapore.
Oh my God.
I mean,
oh my God.
and then this is great. Thinking Machines, which is a startup by a former guy from OpenAI, just raised the biggest seed round in the history of the world. $2 billion in funding at a $10 billion valuation. Talk about Shark Tank, right?
Wow.
There's no product, and they won't tell their investors what they're even trying to build. Here's a quote from one investor who met with Murati, who's the CEO. It was like the most absurd pitch meeting. She was like, sorry, she's a she. So we're doing an AI company with the best AI people, but we can't answer any questions. They gave her $2 billion.
Wow. Wow.
And so anyway, the other thing they're doing is they're using all sorts of accounting gimmicks to cover up the fact that there's no profits and no revenue. And that they have massive expenses, and to basically, from an accounting perspective, make it look like they're not even, expenses aren't expenses, they're investments. I mean, so this has all the hallmarks of pre-2007 madness. My in-laws during that period, they moved to Portland. Neither of them had a job. They bought a house. No job, no income, zero, donut hole, not even washing cars, nothing. They bought a house that was, I think, close to $280,000. Bank is like, no problem, no muss, no fuss. Fortunately, they pulled it together. They had a little bit of savings. They got jobs. They're still in the house today. It's worth $800,000. Good for them, right? But it's like, that shouldn't have happened.
No.
Okay.
No.
And so so now you're in the same, now, and meanwhile, after Dodd-Frank, they went, they overcorrected. I couldn't even I tried to refinance my mortgage.
Yeah.
And a refi is considered a new mortgage. So literally my mortgage was going to go from, I think it was going to go from $3,500 to $2,500 as a result of the refi. They said, oh, you can't afford that. You can't afford this loan. And I'm like, but I'll be paying less, so I'll be able to afford it more. No, Dodd-Frank says your income to asset ratio is blah 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 blah. So you're so stupid. I mean, it's so American to overcorrect like that. John, AI bubble, yay or nay? I say yay.
Oh, I say yay. Definitely.
So that if that fucker blows, that fucks the Republicans next year. Because it's like the problem is they own everything, and that's kind of the problem. I always think you don't want to control every branch of government because then you have plausible deniability.
That's right.
Like, well, it's the fault of the House.
That's right. You spread the blame a little bit.
That's what's going on with the shutdown. All the voters are saying they literally, their analysis is Republicans control all the branches of government. Therefore, everything is their fault.
That's right. Yeah. But this is exactly what they wanted. They wanted to control all the branches of government. So here it is. You're responsible for the executive. You're responsible for the judiciary. You're responsible for the legislative. Let's see where it goes.
Quick question from Frasmataz for you, and we do.
Okay.
What's the story between the transfer of CIA regional command from Greece to Turkey in the 1960s or so? My dad always talks about this.
Oh, it was because of the coup in Athens. We downgraded the state of our relations after the Greek military seized power in Athens, which is funny, because everybody blames the CIA for that. It wasn't the CIA. It was the White House. The National Security Council was the one that instigated the coup. And then, when things didn't work out the way we wanted them to work out, we said, oh, we've got to move everything over to Turkey. The Greeks, for years, until the early 1990s, the Greeks tried to get us to close all of our military bases, which we never did. And now they want us to expand them. So it's kind of a cyclical thing. Somebody else also said, 20 minutes ago, that I never talk about the Balkan War, despite the fact that, Greece is a Balkan country. And I was living in Greece at the time of the war. I actually have spoken about it. I gave an interview just as recently as a week ago about that war. Talk about unjustifiable wars. I mean, to me, that's one of the big ones. There was literally no reason to invade Yugoslavia and break it up and then just kind of dole it out to pretend countries like Kosovo and so-called North Macedonia, fake country. But here we are. Terrible, terrible, grisly mistake by the Clinton administration.
Speaking of grisly mistakes, is Trump going to invade Nigeria?
No, Trump's not going to invade Nigeria. Trump couldn't find Nigeria on a map, but his heart was in the right place because he was responding to the Al-Qaeda and Boko Haram attacks against Christians in Nigeria. So what he should have said is, we will work with the government and people of Nigeria to provide whatever resources they need in order to protect the sanctity of their borders and to protect Christians who are being slaughtered en masse by Muslim extremists. That's what he should have said instead of, I'm thinking of invading, Nigeria.
I love the Nigerians' response. They were like, but you can't invade us. You're not allowed. Saddam should have thought of that. You can't do that. You have to work with us. We're sovereign. Hello, we're a sovereign state. You can't just invade us. I mean, literally, it's like, but no. It's like, it reminds me of one time a guy pulled a knife on me on the subway.
Whoa.
And I just pretended to not speak English. And, I speak French, so I did gobbledygook French. I was hoping he didn't speak French. And he just gave up on me, figuring I was an idiot. And I was like, I came home and I told my girlfriend at the time, I can't no one can oppress you without your consent. It's like, as long as you're in here, no, you can't invade me. Sorry.
I've only been mugged once in my life. It was senior year in college, and it was the last really warm evening of the fall. And I asked everybody on my floor in the dorm if they wanted to go for a walk, and nobody wanted to go for a walk because there was a big keg party over at the SAE house. So I went by myself. And I went straight down 21st Street to Constitution Avenue, past the State Department. And I remember looking in the guard booth and seeing a guard in the booth thinking, I make a mental note, if I, God forbid something happens, there's a guard in the booth. But I went 2 more blocks from C Street down to Constitution Avenue. And this guy with a Russian accent walks up to me. It's about 10 or 10:30 at night. He's holding a big tube, like a plastic tube, like a mailing tube, but big, maybe 3 feet long. And he says, do you have the time? I said, yeah, it's 10:20. And he holds it up like he's going to hit me with it like a bat. He's like, give me your money and your watch. And I put up my hands like this. And then I thought, I bet that tube's empty. And
It's a mailing tube.
I clock him right in the face, knocked him flat on his ass, and then I ran.
Good. John, I want to hear the rest of that story. But
that's the story.
It's 10 o'clock. Time for TMI show with me and Manila Chan. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Please contribute to Robbie Aid. We will see you guys tomorrow. Like, follow, and share the show. See you at 9 o'clock in the morning. Bye, John. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.